I'm Lee Hurley. I'm here for Muse News today with the members of Toothcut Journal. If you want to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, my name's Tanner Hudson. I am one of the editors on Toothcut, and I am an English student at Memorial University.
My name's Kaelem Browne. I'm the editor-in-chief at Toothcut, and I'm also a student in English and philosophy at Memorial University.
Awesome. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourselves, like about the journal. What is Toothcut?
So Toothcut is, I guess I'll start by introducing the people that aren't here as well. Toothcut is me, Tanner, Jenna James, and Nick Corcoran, and we're a journal focused on emerging writers and experimental writers. Hence the name, which comes from the phrase "to cut your teeth."
Mm-hmm. It's very much like a journal dedicated to like the weirder kind of stuff that doesn't really get recognized, because there's a lot of great artists in Newfoundland, but most of it tends to go toward the traditional kind of aspects of Newfoundland culture and like just general like in fiction. So with Toothcut, we're almost trying to capture a new generation's voice and kind of the weirdness of the world, and just trying to accentuate it towards a nice little collection that people can take. Yeah,
for sure. One of our other colleagues at the Muse is currently doing a piece on like how a lot of Newfoundland-centric writing is just like only about Newfoundland. Yeah. And that's great, but I feel like we got to make a little bit of room for the weirdos and the freaks who have like crazy funky writing.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, I feel like it's very selective in that kind of endeavor, that there's not really like a lot of room that you can maneuver outside mainstream culture of trying to find success in writing in Newfoundland. Yeah. Now, keeping that in mind, like both of us are still like very much emerging writers. Like we're not professionals by any means.
Yeah, I mean that's part of why we wanted to start this was to help out other emerging writers and to help out, you know, as you put it, other weirdos and freaks. You know, like
it's in an endearing way.
Yeah.
Oh sure. Yes, it's a banner that you wear proudly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So how did you guys come to poetry and writing? Like what significance has it held in your life that's kind of taken you in this direction?
Well, I mean, Caleb was the one that originally pitched the entire thing to me. I was very much like I think it was around Christmas actually. Mm-hmm. And it was very much the time of year where it's like, hey, semester's over. Do you just want to, just talk about stuff? And they originally came to me about the idea of Toothcut. And what I didn't originally anticipate was the poetry aspect. I thought it was going to be just fiction and nonfiction in general. But with poetry, it's already pushing the boundaries as to what you can expect when it comes to literature.
Absolutely.
So it adds an extra weird dimension, and we've definitely gotten some weird poetry already.
Yeah.
I don't know like what other kind of direction we'll end up going in, but do you want to say something there?
Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
So how did you come to poetry and writing? Like what significance has it had in your life that kind of took you in the direction to start this journal?
Yeah, I mean, like for myself, storytelling, poetry, fiction has been a big part of my life, big part of the reason I'm studying what I'm studying, and I'm also doing a creative writing diploma here at MUN. And
oh, nice.
The creative writing faculty here is wonderful and
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, storytelling has been a big part of my life because a lot of my family are storytellers, whether that be in written word or more of an oral tradition.
Yeah. Oral storytelling is like it's an art.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to be really, really engaging for sure. Yeah. So I guess we kind of already answered this, but like, what exactly prompted you guys to start this journal? Because I know there's 4 of you, and you all come from pretty different backgrounds. Like I know Jenna from high school. Actually, we were in choir together.
Nice.
So I know she comes from more of like a musical background, and you come from like more of a theater background, Tanner. So how did that all kind of like come together? And you guys were like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna start this journal.
Well, I guess we all know each other from high school as well. So like we're all Well, besides Tanner.
Yeah, the one exception I came in late. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've all been kind of connected through that, but we weren't all friends in high school either. We later became connected through writing, and so when I brought up this idea to Tanner, I didn't actually originally. I wasn't as close to Jenna, and so Tanner was mentioning it to Jenna, and Jenna was like, "I need to be a part of this."
Yeah.
And it sort of exploded. It started as sort of just an offhand idea I had, just some impulsive thing.
That's how everything starts, though. Everything great starts that way.
Exactly. And it then became a real, tangible thing pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I even found during our meetings, because we'd like meet together and discuss, like, okay, like, do we like this story? Do we like that story? Like, typical editor stuff. I find those different backgrounds, like you said, Jenna comes from mainly music, come from theater. Nick is a mixture of the two, and Kaelem's a philosophy major. So
you covered all the bases there.
Exactly, yes. There's a lot of different avenues that we all look at when it comes to the stories.
Yeah.
That's got to be really interesting to have all those perspectives in the same room.
Oh, yeah. And we're very... I wouldn't say argumentative, but we get kind of passionate about particular stories.
I would say passionate, and I think having that diverse of a background is good, because it's not just such a singular taste where, like, if just one of us was writing it, there's stories that, one person is really passionate about that and pushes for, that the rest of us didn't see the same thing initially in it, and that I think that has led to some cool things. Yeah,
absolutely. That's got to be like such an interesting dynamic, because a lot of writing is like, and a lot of poetry is like philosophical and is theatrical in a way. Mm-hmm. It's very, very interesting for sure. So who are some of your guys' like personal biggest writing influences?
Oh boy, how much time do you have? Do you want to go first?
Oh God.
All of them are suddenly vanishing now,
huh? I like Kurt Vonnegut. Vonnegut was a big influence. He's the reason I started writing in high school. Made me realize writing didn't have to be so boring. I've been really into Diane Brand recently, and Vladimir Nabokov's Pale Fire is a big influence for me. Yeah, you want to go?
Yeah, no. My influences are pretty scattershot, because I grew up reading a lot of Rick Riordan, and that's how it got me into mythology. So it was a weird like attachment between like classical kind of like middle school adventures, and then I was reading homework works. Like, it was no real transition there. But lately, I've kind of gotten more into short story, kind of like authors like Alice Munro, Mavis Gallant. I think I might be mispronouncing her last name, and I apologize. But, and my main kind of source of like literature is just novels, in which Terry Pratchett and Fonda Lee are absolutely top of my class. I absolutely love their works.
I've heard some very good stuff about Terry Pratchett, for sure.
Oh my God, very whimsical. Yeah. Very.
I find it interesting that you mentioned high school, because like everything I remember from I loved English in high school, and like now I'm doing CMST, sorry, I lost my train of thought. No. So many people speak about English in high school, and like they're like, oh, I hate poetry, but I feel like it's a very serialized, like sterilized version that they give you in high school. That's just like a tiny little snippet of like what poetry actually is, and that deters so many people from like writing it or reading it as they get older, which is unfortunate. But hopefully what you guys are doing can kind of like bring people back to it and be like, no, this doesn't have to be so boring and so like standardized,
It's interesting you say that about high school, because it wasn't through English classes that I really got exposed to literature in high school. It was that I realized that it was really easy to goof off in class if you read instead of looking at your phone or something, because teachers were less likely to take a book away from you than they were to take a phone away from you.
I got a couple books confiscated from me in my day.
Yeah, same here.
It's happened, but it happened less frequently. So I think that's what led me down this path, is goofing off in high school and reading books instead.
Leads to some great things, for sure. So where do you guys like draw your own inspiration from? Like, are there any overarching like themes and ideas that are present in your own writing a lot?
Oh yeah, I actually, me and Kaelem were talking about this like just a couple minutes ago. I think a lot of my work has to kind of do with conversations about generations more than anything else. Kind of the idea of like you don't grow up in a vacuum. There's always kind of something you're kind of bouncing off of. And so just I'm obsessed with history, particularly like the wax and wane of certain ideas and concepts. And in writing, that's very much kind of like what I like to represent more than anything else. Like a relationship between like a grandfather and his grandson, or like just like even a parent and their child, or even siblings. I find there's very much a difference in perspective that comes with just a span of like a couple of decades.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I guess one of the things that always comes up, even when I don't intend it, is gender and sexuality. No matter what I try to do in a story, it always ends up being like a little bit gay.
No, I love that.
So yeah, like that's themes that work its way into everything I write.
Yeah, and I kind of find that's not like when you come across these kind of themes, I don't, at least in my experience, I don't intentionally write it. It's just stuff that kind of comes up when I'm having an idea for something. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take this concept, and then I have someone else read it, and they're like, oh, this means that, and I'm like, sure, yeah, no, that works, that's fine, yeah, that's totally what I meant, and it kind of ends up revealing something about yourself, which is kind of an aspect of Toothcut in which we're kind of asking people to reveal secrets and the more kind of like more personal aspects of life.
For sure. I find it so interesting how like this kind of subconscious, and I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts about this, a philosophy major, but like how the subconscious can come out like in your writing, and someone else will read it, they'll be like, oh, I really like when you talked about this thing, and you're like, oh my god, I talked about that thing. and you fully didn't realize, but it's so like inherent to you, you don't even notice. I like that you bring up the secrets aspect though. That brings us to our next question.
Okay.
So you guys are asking for secrets in your submissions.
Yes.
Why? What's the fascination with secrets? Why are they so connected to like poetry and literature, do you think?
See, Tanner said something really good about this earlier. I don't know. I don't know if you can repeat it or if you want me to try and repeat it.
I'll give it an attempt, but basically what I find is that every piece of literature has a secret in it. There's always, every really strong piece of literature I find has one component to it, be a location, a line, a character, always has something that the author, if you ask them about, would squirm a bit. They'd be like, it's not really my place to kind of talk about that. It comes from a very deep and personal kind of perspective, because when I find literature that is just very surface level, it's very much like, okay, action, action, action. Without any of the personal touches, it ends up becoming bland, because that's kind of where it comes from, a bland exterior of things. I don't know if that's exactly what I said earlier, but
no, that's pretty good. Yeah, I think I think there's something, especially where it like we accept anonymous, like they're totally anonymous. We have no way of tracking down who sent a secret.
Right now.
Yeah, there's a vague threat of that, but but I think there's something a little freeing about that, and not having to have your name attached to something and being able to just share something discreetly like that and have people read it alongside, poetry and fiction.
Yeah, because that's what literature is. It's that secretive kind of nature. You kind of slide a story over to someone. You're like, hey, I kind of wrote this thing. Like, I think it might be good or something, but, let me know if it's trash. And then that's kind of the dynamic every time. And I don't know, like, you might speak differently about this, or you may speak differently about this, but I find that never truly goes away. It's always that angle of like, all right, showed it, and now I'm gonna go and hide for several hours and just try to recuperate.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate it when like I give something I wrote to somebody and they read it like in front of me. It feels like, I don't know if you guys feel that as well, but it feels so like vulnerable and like revealing. And I love that line you said, that like there's a secret in everything. That's fantastic. Do you think that anyone will try and like sleuth it out though? If someone submits something,
people are nosy. Yeah,
very,
I'd say.
yeah. Is that a worry that's arisen, or?
I mean, I think by consenting to publish it, you're gonna have to run the risk that someone might sleuth it out. But
for sure.
But they're anonymous enough and the ones we've gotten so far have been like vague enough that we wouldn't be able to sleuth that out.
Yeah, and that's kind of the nature of secrets. You might hear something about someone, and you're like, I don't know if that's actually about that. But
true.
Yeah.
I noticed you guys put on the Instagram like, don't confess to any crimes.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, because reminder: do not confess to crimes, because
for sure. Please do not confess to crimes if you're submitting to Toothcut Journal. Please don't.
Oh god, or at least leave your name off it. Like, just don't.
What would you do if someone did confess to, like, because how can you report that if it's anonymous?
I'm not sure.
I guess, like, I just give my laptop to the cops, I guess. Like, I'd just be so flustered. I'd be
trace
like,
the IP address.
No, it's just, well, I mean, I don't think there is much you can do, because it's Google Forms, so you have to go through Google and everything.
Got to get some computer science students in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
some
we'll get one hacker
really
on our
techie
squad.
Hackers, yeah.
Exactly.
So what are you guys looking for exactly in submissions? Like, what could we expect from a first issue?
So we're specifically looking for people that are based in Newfoundland and Labrador, right? Like we are accepting submissions from outside of Newfoundland and Labrador, but we'd rather focus on our province, and because there's not many options here to publish with.
Definitely not.
And we're looking for emerging writers specifically, and people that are doing, pushing boundaries, cutting their teeth, so to say, and not just doing the standard stuff.
Yeah. Like, very much like, kind of, if somebody looks at you kind of askew after reading what you've written, I think that's pretty much the vibe we're kind of going for.
Sure.
And that's pretty much like the case on our social media. It's very much reflecting that kind of carnal, chaotic kind of nature of, like, you're up at 2 a.m. and there's, like, no one else around, and it's, should I still be awake, or should I just go to bed, and is the mysteries of the universe just me, or am I just tired?
I love that you guys are trying to, like, embody that feeling with your work, for sure. I feel like a lot of writing, at least people that I speak to regularly, is just like stream of consciousness into a Google Doc. Like, don't read it again, don't look at it for like 2 months, and then you go back and you're like, oh, this is kind of good. And like that type of feeling. I feel like that's something that's very, very cool, and a lot of people don't realize that, like, that is like poetry. Even if you just go journal entry, okay, like stream of consciousness, like I said, like incomprehensible, and then you're like, oh, there's something here.
Yeah, the best secrets I find are the ones that you forget, and then you have to uncover later on. Just like in, like you said, like journals, just something where it's like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh god, yeah, that explains a lot of things I did afterwards. Well, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess another thing, we should probably mention guidelines if we're talking about...
Oh, yeah, that's been a conversation we were having.
Yeah, so it's like we are looking for submissions that are like stories that are 2,000 words or less, poetry, 3 to 5 poems, no more than 10 pages kind of thing. And I think our secrets, we said 150 words or less.
Yeah, something along there. Like, if you can't... if you can't edit your story down from a story length, I'm sorry, you're missing something. Like, there's too much detail in there.
Yeah,
so what format is it going to be distributed in? Like, is it going to be a website, like print, a zine, something like that?
So sorry, my mic was falling. We're going to, for accessibility reasons, we're going to have it available online. But we're also hoping, we haven't like fully ironed out the details yet because we're not at that stage yet, but we are hoping to do hand bound copies and like get them professionally printed and then hand bind them ourselves. Our editor Nick Corcoran is has a lot of experience doing that.
Yeah,
Him
I
and-
actually have one of his chapbooks from
Oh, do
Right
you?
on.
from
Yeah.
Lanya Vanya last
Yeah.
year, Super Diesel.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's really good.
Yeah, yeah,
Nick is too good. Like it's too talented. Like
yeah.
He's writer, editor, bookbinder. Like, man,
Yeah.
this guy has everything.
Playwright,
Very
Yeah.
romantic, you
musician.
know.
Musician. Yeah, I forgot that too. It was at a gallery show, actually.
Yeah. I'll admit this publicly. I've always been very jealous of Nick Corcoran because that man is so
No,
talented.
I feel like everyone has those friends who are just good at everything, and you're
Yeah.
like, how dare you? Actually,
Yeah.
that shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah,
That
and I
shouldn't
feel
be
like he
allowed.
should be like ugly or something to make up for how talented he is. But
Yeah, God, try
but
to
he-
basically
but-
balance
but-
things.
but he's not like so. Yeah,
He's just awesome, and that's
Yeah.
infuriating.
yeah.
Where would people find, like, once you do like a bound like print version, where would people find that? Like, would you guys be selling them like online? Would you try and get them in some local bookstores?
Yes, a bit of a mix of both. We'd be selling copies online, I think, and we're also hoping to do a book launch
Yes.
when we
Oh,
get
that
it,
would be great.
and maybe get some readers in to read their own work and stuff. So,
Absolutely.
so hopefully people will stop by there and
Yes,
get a
hopefully.
copy then. Yeah,
Well, a lot of writers are shy, so
yeah.
Oh,
good
yeah,
luck.
just-
Good luck getting them to do that for sure. What would you guys say to someone who like wants to submit work, but maybe they're a bit scared of like putting their art out there?
Oh,
That's a great question.
that is a fantastic question, actually, and I wish I had a better answer than me rambling, trying to buy time for me to figure out what the heck I'm going to say.
I feel like so many people are like secret poets, secret writers, and they
Yeah.
don't think of themselves as such.
Yes.
But really, there's no like rules for like what constitutes being a poet or a writer, and they don't want to put themselves out there because of that.
Actually, do you want to go on?
Yeah. I think rejection is a big part of art to me. A big part of it is like something I do when I send out work is whenever I get a rejection letter, I print it off and I put it on my wall, so that it because even being rejected is part of the process of getting your work
Absolutely.
out there. So
Yeah.
don't be scared of that is what I tell them. Be a bit excited when you get a rejection email, because at least that means someone read what you wrote. And
That's a great outlook to have,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Absolutely. And like I run a writers group on my off time.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you said earlier of like, oh, I can't be in the room when someone reads my work, that's what I do every single time I bring something to that writers group. I end up having to leave the room and
That's
just
brutal.
but yeah, no, and that's something we say in that group. Everyone is a writer in one sense or another. Everyone has written down something, and it's like, okay, and just kind of going about their day. But yeah, Caleb's absolutely right. The rejection is part of it. It's you get up and you kind of dust yourself off and you keep going. And if anything, rejection just means you're getting closer to something. If you're just always accepted all the time, actually, no, that'd be awesome. What am I talking about? I was just going to go on something poetic, but now I can't. I was just going to say a complete lie. I apologize for that.
It's all good. I give you major props for putting those on your wall, though. I feel like that would send me into a total doom spiral.
it's cathartic in a way. Yeah.
Is it the same spot,
For
or are you
sure.
doing it like...
No, they're spaced.
Okay, I
out
thought
a
you were
bit.
just putting them one on another, so it just inches by
No,
inches
no,
come out.
I like being
How
able
much
to
of
see
the
that.
wall's covered at this point?
Not enough yet.
Not enough yet. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't sent out that much work because I was scared for a while, and then I think this has been encouraging me to send more work out because I want to fill the wall up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe hopefully a couple acceptances here and there too.
Hopefully.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
But
My friends and I have been saying 2025 is the year for doing things that scare you and
Oh,
being
yeah.
scared and doing things anyways. So I feel like that's something a lot of people could apply to like kind of putting their art out there for sure.
Yeah, that's Toothcut's philosophy there. is
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
stuff
The
that's
philosophy.
yeah.
You got an entire degree just to put that philosophy on a
Yeah.
literary student magazine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Are you guys gonna have any like art or like multimedia aspects like integrated into the print version or online as well?
Currently.
Well, that's a lie.
Okay. Thank you for calling me out on it. Go on.
So We'll announce it here now.
Okay.
Okay. We are going to soft launch here. We're going to be doing a visual arts contest for the cover.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Specifically black and white for the sake of printing costs.
Oh,
but
yeah. Ink is expensive.
And we'd rather have people that are working in black and white and want their work to be displayed in black and white than have to, take color art and turn it black and white.
For sure.
Because right now, we eventually we'd like to have more of the journal have a bit more visual art, but right now it's just going to be the cover for the sake of cost.
Oh,
yeah.
I think that was all the ones I had written down for you guys. Is there anything else about the journal you'd want to add that we didn't talk about today?
I think we covered most of the main points. If you are thinking about spin to Toothcut, absolutely go ahead. The worst that can happen is you get rejected, which sounds horrible, but
then put it on your wall like I do.
Exactly. You need to obsess over the rejection, okay? This is not something you walk away from. But, it's, just look out for Toothcut. It's going to be a great time.
And when are submission deadlines if people want to submit?
Oh, thank you for asking that. It's March 1st at midnight, and if you submit late, we'll be very, very upset with you, and probably still
banned from the journal forever.
Yeah, no, we're going to have a specific email we're going to send to people if they send in stuff.
It's just
if you're interested.
It's just going to be a frowny face emoji, and that's it.
So when can people expect the first edition out by?
Ooh.
If you don't know, that's okay.
That is... I think we have been saying that we will have responses to people by April.
Yes.
Like end of April. So
I'd say summer is around.
I think it's about June-ish, maybe.
Yeah, June is a good kind of, and depending on how the process goes, because this is still in its infancy.
For sure.
Yeah, we're also cutting our teeth at this.
So it's...
Jenna does have experience with literary
she's...
journals, which is lovely because we would all be lost without
Good
Jenna.
to have in your back pocket,
absolutely.
for sure.
Jenna is...
She has that quality
Jenna.
about her. She's so put together.
Yes. She has been a lifesaver because
she actually knows what she's doing.
Yeah, we would be lost at sea without Jenna James. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll put that on the cover of Toothcut. Yeah.
Oh man, well I think that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for stopping by for Muse News. Look out for Toothcut out sometime this summer, and if you want to submit, the deadline is March 1st at midnight, and they're taking poetry, short fiction, or nonfiction.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Poetry, short stories, and secrets.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much.
Welcome.